hello friends, and also, hello enemies. I'm in handheld mode now because we're looking at a very big box. This is the Poxxus box where he's bundled with his horse. Horse is a big boy, Poxxus is a biggish boy, and as you can see, it doesn't really want to fit in my review space. Packaging type we've seen before with these horse and rider releases. So you had the big window in the front, what you guys saw, and this really nice illustration in the back. This is Poxxus's box. Poxxus. And so he is the focal point of our 4 horsemen this time. The other horsemen get their time in the limelight in their packaging, but this is Poxxus's turn. In addition to that, we get some character bios, a nice illustration of that disgusting looking horse, and an illustration of Arachagor, which we already saw when we looked at Arachagor, but it's a huge box, pretty heavy, so I'm going to unbox this off camera so you guys don't get to see me struggle. Alright, here we have Poxxus and his horse Phlogeus out of the package. So earlier tonight I had Phlogeus for dinner and then I took a nap and I had dreams of Poxxus, and I find that very worrying, but maybe the fact that I'm reviewing him now will appease him in some manner and I won't be cursed. That would be great. Let's keep the curses to a minimum. So of course, if you've been following this line, this figure, you know that there's more to him than this. He also has wings and like a sigil near his head. We're going to wait before we attach those because I want to take a look at his base body first and look at articulation a little bit, and then we will put those in. Of course, we will also be taking a look at Phlogeus, which is just a disgusting horse name, but it's a pestilence horse, so you know, that's kind of the deal. We will take a look at him after we look at Poxxus. So Poxxus is one of the 4 horsemen, the horsemen of pestilence. He's got everything you could possibly want in a demigod of pestilence. He's got bug features. He's got zombie features. He's got raggedy clothes. He's got lesions. He's got boils. His eyes don't work. Still got both ears though. He kept his ears, but he lost something else. Of course, anytime we're looking at a Mythic Legion, a Cosmic Legion, a Figura Obscura figure, they're all going to be beautiful. I mean, you know, in a sense. And as one of the big bads of Mythic Legions, this guy has a lot of love poured into him. Very cool character design. From here down, he just kind of looks like a mook. But then we get to the head, you can tell something special's going on. And then once we attach his other parts, I think that will make him a lot more of an impressive figure. Intensely upsetting head sculpt. Doesn't even have a nose, this guy. I mean, at least that way he can't smell himself, I guess. You've got various horns and insect parts sticking up out of his head. Just like bug legs sticking out of his skull. Frightening. Those are splashed with iridescence. Very nice beard sculpt. Very raggedy and just terrible, terrible looking. It culminates with a really cool bead. It kind of looks like a scarab. Seems to be a lot of reuse armor, but he's also got some really cool cloth goods. Just some really raggedy, like, cotton and burlap fabrics. And I especially love this scarf thingy around his head. It really makes him look like some kind of medieval peasant who came into some kind of dark power. Things went very wrong. Some old, dry, wrinkly skin underneath. I don't know, do you guys think this guy would be dry or would he be wet? I think he would be a disturbing mix of dry and wet. He's dry where he shouldn't be dry, and wet where he shouldn't be wet. He's got some cool details like this belt buckle. This bag of more insect parts, because he didn't have enough. Some, what I assume is poison. This thing, maybe some kind of insect leg wand. He's got another one on this side. Some appropriately decayed and battered pauldrons with chainmail underneath. Those have some rust on them, which is a very cool touch. Underneath his belt accoutrements, he's got these kind of like bat wing thigh guards. Although the bat motif is more Alithia's thing, but this design carries over to his horse, which has some armor in this basic shape. I'm going to be gentle because we've known that this particular wave has had some QC issues, and in fact, I recently reviewed Thrace Wraithaler. I loved her so much. My favorite Mythic Legion's female figure, I think. And then her leg snapped off. So even though we were very careful with her, that still happened, so I'm a little nervous. I'm honestly not expecting to get much articulation out of this guy, just because he has so much going on. I'm being very, very, very careful. And I can already tell that parts are sticking and not wanting to move, so I'm not going to push them at all. I'm just going to heat him up before I try anything else, because he definitely needs it. Certainly do not want to push anything like Thrace. Thrace? Thrace? Whatever her name is. She had been heated up when her leg snapped, so sometimes there's just defects and you gotta watch out for them, but I don't want to have to contact customer service again with this guy. Alright, we gave him the old heat treatment. And he's moving as you would expect pretty much any Mythic Legion to move. This joint is a little loose. It's kind of a spinny, but he's got pretty basic articulation. Ooh, this joint, yeah, this joint worries me a little bit, but we'll see how it holds up with time. Of course, a great thing about Poxxus and several other figures in this line is that the pauldrons have an anchor point. They can move up and down, so they're not going to get in the way of arm articulation. He has cooled down a bit since I heated him up. Those shoulder joints just really want to stick. But yeah, he's got the swivel, he's got the arm out. He's got a robust swivel at the waist. Leg up, not by much, don't push it too hard. Pretty decent leg out to the side, and the knee, if you push it too hard, the leg is just going to come off. And then of course rock at the ankle, and some back and forth at the ankle as well. We've also got this back piece, and that is where the wings attach. These wings are reuse from the Sphexians from Cosmic Legions, my favorite figures in that line. Why do I like the Sphexians so much? I guess I don't really have a concrete answer. I just really like them. He's also got this magical sigil that just kind of plugs back in there. This is where things are going to get tricky because I can see this coming apart. Multiple pieces that get in the way, and yeah, see, this part is already wanting to slide out of that slot there. I do quite like the sigil. I can't imagine not wanting it, because this just kind of elevates him from maybe a slightly more hardcore than average looking zombie person to a god. Like the sigil and the wings definitely say pestilence demigod or whatever it is he is. Without those wings and that sigil, he looks much less threatening than the other three horsemen. I imagine it's going to be a pain getting all this on the horse. And I'll probably just want to display him separately, but we'll see. You've got some reaching hands, some curled claw hands, and some holding things hands. He's already got holding things hands attached, but these are on a different axis. He has this really cool dagger and sheath. Very sharp, actually. Love the detail on that. It's got a little clip at the back so it can clip onto his belt, should you so choose. You know what else has a clip is his quiver. A deceitfully plain looking quiver with yellow fletched arrows. Not very fancy, but he is a bit ragged. His clothes aren't the most extravagant, not like what we'd see in Alithia, whose clothes are just bonkers. He's a little humdrum and run down. We also get this magical fly arrow, since he is a pestilence guy. But that's not the only magical arrow we get. We get this one that kind of splits off into several bugs. Not really sure how this is supposed to work. I know the bows have notches on them to hold up arrows, but I think this might require some some work to get it actually in a workable pose. And then we have two bows. We have quote-unquote normal version of a bow, but it's still pretty fantastical. It's got that insect leg motif with the iridescence. Then we've got the same bow, but it's got added insect wing decor. So I don't know why the additional bow. Maybe this is one where its power is being activated, or maybe he carries two bows. I haven't read up on the lore. I'm sure that's painfully obvious, but they are very cool bows. There's just so much going on with him and going on with his weapons. I'm just afraid that I'm gonna break something. These things definitely require a delicate touch. I wouldn't say that they're fragile as a rule, but just when you have so much stuff going on, you know. So you can slot this arrow into these notches a little bit, have him firing an arrow, or just getting ready to fire it. So we're moving on to Phlogeus, who looks awesome. Of course, this is the basic Mythic Legion's horse body. He's got a unique leg sculpt, but only on one leg, and a unique head sculpt. I think a unique mane sculpt. It's the only one I think that's quite as raggedy, and maybe a unique tail sculpt, because this is a pretty raggedy looking tail too. It reminds me a lot of the horses from Undead Nightmare, which was a great DLC for Red Dead Redemption. He's got a bit of unique tack in that he's got these insect leg pieces attached to his bridle. The bridle itself is kind of worn away. He's got these armor pieces. Very gross head sculpt. You can see the horse skeleton poking through. Just lots of rotting and diseased flesh. He doesn't look evil like the war horse looks evil. Like it's got this like snarl on its face. Its lips are pulled back to expose its teeth, and it looks like it's about to take a big chomp out of something. This horsey just looks like it's, you know, it's rotting, but it's a good boy or girl. I especially like this detail of the hoof rotting away and cracking to reveal the bone underneath. Now, I have been having a problem with this horse, and that is whenever I go to move the head, it pops off. It just takes the slightest little movement and it's just off. I don't know how to fix that. This piece seems pretty loose too. So, I think that my horse isn't going to be doing much head movement, just because I'm getting tired of plugging its head back in. It looks cool, but it does not want to move, which is what people frequently say about me. I had to dunk him in a lot of hot water because his joints, much like his owners, were very stiff. Please forgive the water droplets. I know people don't like it when I do that. Some of you don't like it, but it was truly the only way. So yeah, you get the usual Mythic Legion's horse articulation. You've got a joint up here, you twist back and forth. You've got a joint here, another twist, joint at the toe. Ooh, and even after heating it up a lot, this one still doesn't want to go. Let's see if this one will do it for us. Yeah, it moves a little bit. Yeah, this one just needs like extended heat therapy. The armor on this one in particular makes it pretty cumbersome just because these big pieces just move around and you can't really get a solid grip on it. So we've got a big joint on the back leg. Another joint just below that thigh piece that does not want to move. I heated it up quite a bit. It's just still like, it's still pretty stuck. All these joints are very sticky and the horse is very cumbersome. It's difficult to move the legs for sure. You've got some neck movement too, which is nice. Still very afraid to move that head. Every time I do, it just pops off, so I'm not even going to try anymore. You got some twist at the neck as well, and you got some movement on that tail. Just the same articulation we've seen with the other Mythic Legion's horses, which is not bad, but they are large and cumbersome, and the joints do stick. Like I said, this one in particular is giving me trouble just because of these armor pieces wanting to slip around. I can't really get a good grip on him, especially when he's wet and my hands are wet. Which was my fault, I know. Somehow I cut myself too. I don't know how that happened. Of course, I don't know about you guys, but I don't get the Mythic Legion's horses for posability. I get them because they look cool and I love horses. Oh, we match. Who's the plague horse and who's the human? So I wanted to add that Poxxus's back piece in addition to the sigil constantly wanting to fall off. These wings are pretty loose too. The entry point is very shallow and this wing in particular just wants to keep falling off. They are articulated, but yeah, that happens. Like, he looks so cool with this stuff and the horse looks cool too, but very, very, very finicky pieces. I joke a lot about some figures just being pieces that I want to put on a shelf and never touch again and just look at them. And I don't even know if I can make a joke about these for that because I think even if I managed to get them into any kind of pose, pieces would just start falling off at random. Poxxus would lose his sigil, he'd lose a wing, horse would lose its head. There just might have to be some semi-permanent to permanent solutions involved with some of these pieces. Patrick's gonna have a fun time photographing these for sure. So here is Poxxus next to a standard Mythic Legion skeleton builder type. He's a little bit bigger, definitely bigger if you count whatever that is on his head. Here he is with Atticus Doom from Mezco. I think they could still work together. Atticus Doom is a small guy, as we've established before, and Poxxus, it makes sense, would be a larger guy because he's some kind of demigod. We've also got Indiana Jones. I don't know why, but Patrick told me I should use this one for a comparison, so I'm doing that. Ironically, Patrick's a lot more tapped into the toy collector gestalt than I am. And he also knows way more about stuff like Indiana Jones and all these pop culture classics that I've only recently seen and don't have any nostalgia for. Here's Toxic Avenger, which he also said would be funny. He does fit in pretty well with Poxxus. Friend or foe, I wonder. Our last test will be seeing if he can sit atop his steed. His legs don't want to spread very far. But it's good enough. I don't want to put his feet into the stirrups because when I do that, the stirrups tend to want to come out and then they're really hard to get back in and stay back in. But yeah, he looks cool on top of his horse. It'll probably take a lot of doing getting him on top of the horse with that back piece with the wings and the sigil. Especially if you want to do some kind of like arrow attacking pose with the special arrows and the special bow. Ooh, that's going to be difficult. But there's a reason I don't take the pictures. So that about wraps up this particular review. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. I knew that these figures were going to come with issues just because there's so much stuff going on with them. I knew they would be the type of figures to have things want to fall off. Wasn't expecting the horse's entire head to want to fall off, but he is a rotten horse. So I guess that checks out. If you get Poxxus, you might be in a position similar to me and might have to do something about that back piece. Try to secure it better because I definitely want it attached to him because it looks super cool. Otherwise, he's just kind of like a little basic. Definitely just guy territory and not god territory. So I'll see if I can come up with some kind of fix for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Likes and subscribes are very much appreciated. Comments are more than welcome. I'll see you guys on the next one. I have the plague now! It's terrible! I'm bleeding from my eyes! The horse isn't evil. The horse is just doing its job.